told ya. And now you do what they told ya. And now you do what they told ya. And now you do what they told ya. Those who die are justified for wearing the badge of the chosen race. You justify those that die by wearing the badge of the chosen race. Those who die are justified for wearing the badge of the chosen race. You justify those that die by wearing the badge of the chosen race. Some of those that work forces are the same that earn crosses. Some of those that work.
The following show features stupid opinions and ideas from two idiot brothers who probably did little research and practiced zero due diligence on the topic at hand. The MLO Bros' opinions do not reflect the views of their employer, guests, sponsors, families, neighbors, or pets. If you do not like what they are saying...
Look at those flames. Look at that shit. Wow. Oh my God, that's bad. Holy shit. Oh, coal burns so freaking hot. Let me back here running, jumping seats and... Oh my God. Oh, I can feel the heat, Lenny. Feel the heat. Damn. Feel the heat. Look at this shit. Oh my God, all those cars are burning. Wow. Wow.
We're gonna go. We are live. That is still something. Like 2 months later, man.
Yeah.
Is your mic on? Nope. Turn that baby on. All right, everybody, make sure your mic's on. We got a lot of people in here.
Check.
Yep, you're good. You're good. You're good. Oh wait, good.
I don't know how to tell if it's on.
Oh, by the way, you've never been here. This is total amateur hour.
Yes.
Good job. All right, welcome to the MLO Bros. My name is Luke. We have a whole studio full of people, and we have a chemist right over there. Hi, Alexis.
Hi.
All right, hang tight. Hang tight. We're gonna bring you right back.
Gotcha.
And a chemist. So we are. For those of you joining us, we are the MLO Bros. We are a big brother, little brother combo out of Poland, Ohio. Welcome. We've been following and doing what we can from Poland, Ohio, to get the news out for the catastrophe. Is that a good word? In East Palestine, as it's been happening. For those of you who've been living under a giant rock, there was a train wreck that spilled all kinds of chemicals, and it was just a mess. We're going to talk about that tonight. That was, what was the date? Let me see if I remember. February 3rd. February 3rd. That all of the people at the table are all residents of East Palestine. There's also a person hiding on the couch, even though we can see her. She doesn't want to. She's being shy. She is also a resident, and these are all residents. And we wanted to invite them into the studio. And we also, like we said, we have Alexis, who is a chemist. We wanted to bring her on to help us out as we go too. So let's start by meeting our guests in the studio. So I'm gonna go first. Pull that microphone right up there. There, go ahead.
Russ Murphy, 2.8 miles from the crash site. We're rural outside. We're not in a village, but lived there for 22 years.
Go ahead.
And I'm his wife, so same
A
situation.
little closer. Wait, hold on. Let's see here. Sorry. Go ahead. Try that again. There you go.
Hello.
There you go.
There I am.
There you
Okay. I am Linda Murphy. I'm his wife, so same living situation.
Awesome. Pull that mic a little closer.
I am Krista Moosefigley. I live in the mile zone.
Oh, you're one of the 50 Figleys out of there, or married into the
I'm
Figleys?
married into the
Yeah, you want to say you are a Figley. Yeah, married into the Figleys.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I'm Zuja Jenis. I also live in the mile.
so you guys are in the mile.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you over on the couch?
I'm Mindy Holzer. I live in Poland, but from Palestine.
There you go. And you, sir?
I'm Isaac Schuster. I live 10 miles from
You're dead.
I just changed the batteries. Hello, can you hear me on this one,
Yeah,
Luke?
there you go.
I'm Isaac Schuster. I'm current Poland resident, soon to be South Range resident, but I live like 10 miles from the incident.
And I am Luke Schuster. I am like 8 miles from the incident, and yeah, in Poland. So all right, and then where's she at? Let's bring her on, Alexis. There she is. Go ahead.
Former chemist, current stay-at-home parent. I've got some kind of plague, so I'm not in the studio, but happy to answer any questions and keep you
Thank you for staying. Thank you for not coming into the studio with your plague.
Yeah, thought it was best not to bring that.
Yeah, we appreciate that. So, you're a chemist, right? Now, say the fancy words you were telling me before we came on the air. Exactly what your chemistry is?
Okay. So I worked in an analytical lab as an analytical chemist for many years. Did all kinds of chromatography, which is probably the results that you're seeing coming out of these labs. I worked primarily with HPLC, GC. So some of the stuff that they're putting out results for are not things that I've actually done tests on, but I have a lot of familiarity in the area. And I also worked a lot with regulatory stuff. So anytime you're talking about the Code of Federal Regulations, sorry, about to cough, I'm pretty well versed in that too. So happy to answer questions. Happy to be here. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And are you okay if we keep bringing you on and off?
Yep, that's fine.
I don't want you to think we're being rude or anything. So.
No, not at all. You're
All
fine.
right. So let's talk a little bit with the with our guests and the people living there.
Residents.
Yeah, the residents first. So you guys have lived there the longest, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you guys have lived there the longest, right? So you said 2.5 miles?
2.8.
2.8 miles, south or north?
Southwest, eighth a mile from Leslie Run.
Okay,
or driveway.
Okay, and night of the crash, did you hear anything?
We didn't. Our daughter, we kind of dismissed it. Apparently she was Snapchatting her friend and said, "Hey, the tracks are on fire."
Her friend lives very close. How close?
300 yards.
So she contacted our daughter.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, the train's on fire. There was a train derailment. We had no idea the extent of it until we watched the 11 o'clock news. And then it was just like, it was mind blowing.
Right. Did you get out of there right away?
No,
or did you stay?
We stayed.
Stayed?
Because we still didn't know the extent of what the chemicals were.
Right.
At that time.
If there were chemicals or anything.
Well, they keep talking.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Right. No.
Yeah,
on Friday.
Yeah. And Krista, how far did you say you were?
1 mile.
So you're close.
Yeah.
Did you hear it?
Oh yeah. Well, yes and no, because we could hear the commotion, but we didn't know what was actually happening until I live right on 170. So we heard for like 6 hours straight, siren after siren after siren after siren. But after about the fourth siren coming into town, you're wondering, okay, what is actually happening?
Right.
What are they doing? What is going on? Because nobody knew at that point, like how extreme it actually was.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So
everybody wants to talk about Monday when they did the burn off. We don't know. I mean, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but Friday night under the cloak of darkness. What was that crap?
Right.
Well, and that's massive too, because that's what the first responders came in. They did what they do. And they had no idea what they were exposing themselves to.
I think it's chemist time. That's why we got her. So from what you know, and before we get in, if you're watching this show right now, there's like almost 30 people watching. Do us a favor, like this, and please follow it. We're trying to get the word out. This is real stuff here, right? Get the word out, share this, like it, follow it, and we're trying to get the word out as much as we can. So Alexis, the night of the crash, and the other thing is what we're doing this. There's so much garbage on Facebook. It's gross. It's gross. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's not true. I don't know who to trust. I don't know who to not trust. Well, let me rephrase that. I know not to trust Norfolk Southern. I'm going to start with that.
You know, the sad thing is Facebook might be more accurate than the experts.
Right.
We're finding out.
Exactly. I do not trust them 100%. I'll tell you that right now. I work in banking. I've worked in business. I do not trust them because it's all about money for them. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot convince me otherwise. So talk. And again, I don't know how much research you've done, Alexis, with those chemicals burning before the burn off, and they were all mixed up. Water in there. I've heard like things like mixing the water, burning it off, all this crazy stuff. I mean, do you know anything about that?
Yeah. So some of that is stuff that you do learn in undergrad. But as soon as I saw the word vinyl chloride and then I saw that it was on fire, I posted it on Facebook. Speaking of Facebook. So I added my trash opinion to everything. But I said, did anybody else notice this? Any other scientists out there giving this a huge side eye? Like, what's happening? So I was pretty nervous. I think I heard about it February 6th. And I saw vinyl chloride burning, and I thought, oh, that's really bad. And where are the grown-ups? So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. So that is even before the mix and the burn off. This is just that night where there was a black cloud, and we kind of saw that in the very beginning. So that burns off, or that just burning. They pull the firefighters, I believe, right?
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
3 o'clock in the morning, they pull the firefighters back because somebody's like, "Oh crap, we don't know what's in this."
Well, because the EPA had boots on the ground, what they claimed 2 in the morning. They said they had boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, now they're claiming 2 hours after.
Which-
so that would have been
okay,
10:40 or 11:45. But
Yeah.
Right. So and that was the other thing. We had the fire chief in, or we talked to Chip Comstock from the Poland Fire Department, who was called down there, and he said there was a lot of confusion, a lot with the fire department.
Absolutely, there had to be.
A lot of miscommunication, and it wasn't so much like not blaming the fire chief in East Palestine. He was saying something about the state of Ohio not having the proper. It was like funding for the proper communication between the different departments, and there wasn't a rally point, and the rally point was set up wrong, and it was just a big cluster.
Yeah, and I think that it was, with it being the coldest night of the year, they were having a lot of issues with water lines freezing up, breaking up. There was a lot of issues on that front, and I know this because the State Boys were right in front of our house because we live right over there, by Sparkle, and they had blocked off right there, and they were communicating right out front of our house. I could hear them like in real time of what was happening. And I stayed up till 3 a.m. because we were all like, what is going on? You see this black plume of smoke, just like we watched it go right your guys' direction. I mean, I have a picture, but I didn't share it.
Yeah.
But so up above, like in my 2-story up top, I couldn't even like really see anything because it was black. But when you went downstairs, if you looked, you saw it just like traveling down there. And we're like, what is that? And as they're putting the water on the fire, I could see it coming down and then
lifting back up.
Crazy,
back up.
right?
And we're like, what is going on?
Crazy. Yeah.
So they broke off at 3 a.m, and I heard them saying, all right, boys, wrap it up. We're pulling out. We'll be back in the morning at 3 o'clock.
Damn.
And I believe they put 400,000 gallons of water on it.
And then they put that into Sulphur and Leslie Run. So
That's when I evacuated my house because it started smelling.
Yeah.
I got sick like within 5 minutes.
And that was the problem then too. So they're putting all this water in there that ran into the creek,
and then also foam.
Yeah,
and
fire
foam.
retardant foam.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
So that's bad. And then that with the water, and that just like a sludge went right into the drainage system, and right into our little waterways, which then eventually went into the Ohio and down to Cincinnati and into Kentucky.
Which we know from the test they were picking that up.
Right. And I think a lot of people don't understand that East Palestine, if you go through town, you don't even know there's a creek in it.
Yeah.
It actually, there's buildings that don't have basements. There are tunnels, and it runs underneath it. The municipal building, the China buffet.
I didn't know that.
Yes. It runs right
There's
under
a creek underneath the China buffet and stuff.
It runs across.
In the meat market. I mean, it's going right underneath the underneath.
Wow.
Right into one of the schools too.
Yes.
There's mine shafts also. I actually found
lots of mine
viewable
shafts.
map online with ODNR.
That's like less than 100 yards away from the crash site.
A lot of old mine shafts in East Palestine area.
Wow.
Comes right
What
down
kind of
North
mine? Like coal?
Yes, old abandoned mines.
Yeah.
And so vinyl chloride, how fast it moves through soil because it won't cling to soil. So it finds them shafts, and them shafts are full of water.
Wow.
She's moving way faster than what they're telling us it's moving.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
So next day.
Yeah.
So next day, were you guys all still in your houses?
Yeah,
Yes.
we were.
Yeah.
I
You
left
were
at
not.
3 a.m. that night.
You left
because
at 3 a.m.
snowed and
Because
we got
how
hit.
far were you again?
You were close.
1.1 mile, depending, because there was actually at first it was James Street Crossing, which I was like 0.7 miles, and then they switched it to like a half a mile longer. At least.
Okay.
Yeah,
Further away.
there was definitely a lot of inconsistencies right from the beginning.
Right. I mean, bottom line is you guys were all really close.
We were all close.
Let's be honest. I mean, 1 mile, 2 miles. I mean, it's close.
You,
Oh,
you
but-
at 8 miles,
Yeah.
to me, you're too close.
Well, we're going to get into that. I'll talk about that.
But
I'm
like
gonna
what
talk
you
about
just
that.
said is
Yeah.
very interesting. 1 mile, 2 mile,
Yeah.
that's close,
Yeah.
but not according to Norfolk and EPA. 1 mile and 2 mile is like one country versus
Yeah,
another.
40
that's
yards is too much.
yeah.
Yeah.
That whole thing to me is there can't just be a straight line that says, "Hey, if I cross this road, you're fine."
There's
Well,
no
that was
glass dome that was
Yeah.
put over
Well,
the
and
1
that's
mile.
interesting that you
Wasn't
say
it
that.
10 o'clock the curfew? Apparently, you couldn't get it out.
Yeah.
After 10.
Exactly. So you said you smelled. Did you guys smell stuff that night or the
Well,
next morning?
Yeah. And it wasn't as prevalent. Like Saturday morning, it wasn't until Saturday night it got really bad.
Okay. And
Because
what did
they
it smell like?
There was like a paint thinner smell.
Okay.
There was like a sweeter, like burnt smell.
Like a plasticky.
Yeah, there was like a
Fragrant
plastic
bleach.
burnt smell.
Throw
there was
some
a
fingernail
bleach.
polish
Yeah,
remover in
yeah,
there.
Okay,
fingernail
wow.
polish.
And
yeah.
a burnt plastic spatula on the
Yeah.
stove.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Mhm.
And it depended, like, I don't know about your guys' house, but I could smell certain things in our downstairs versus upstairs. And Saturday evening, they had a shelter in place Saturday during the day because they were letting the tankers burn.
Right.
Because of all, but keep in mind, we still did not know that there was chemicals.
They never told you
They
that.
still hadn't told us.
There was explosions and everything.
Yeah.
All night.
And
long.
if you had watched any of like Cardinal Welding's live feed throughout that time frame, like we watched Cardinal Welding's live feed like for 4 days straight. I think I'm like, please nobody let anybody know that this is happening because
Oh,
we didn't want to lose that.
Yeah.
You know, because there was definitely some things going on during the night that we were not aware of during the day. Like they just made it out like,
Wow.
you know, oh, so everything's fine.
The
Everything's
cloak
fine.
of darkness.
Yes,
you know?
it really was.
Linda
So-
and I spoke with Cardinal Welding, one of the owners, and his brother actually went down and put another camera up on the corner to watch it. So I don't know how many feeds was you getting. Was you just getting one feed from Cardinal, or
I only saw the one, and
Maybe
it was
that was it.
directly
Yeah, that was
facing.
probably
Yeah,
it.
So are you
So
talking about
yeah.
are you talking about Norfolk messing around with it and like
No,
or
just that we just
burning
had
and
no
we
idea.
didn't know
exploding?
what would happen. Well, yeah, we
Yeah.
were watching all of that because, like, especially what was it, the night of the actual uncontrolled burn. They said everything was burned out, everything was fine, but that night there was still a lot of activity happening on that live feed
for a while.
for a while.
Wow, yeah, and people would be smelling stuff burning again for like several weeks after that. Like
Oh,
random
yeah.
nights.
Yep.
It would come back.
Alexa, she said something interesting about a smell being upstairs, a smell being downstairs. Is that going to be different chemicals, or what's going to do that?
Yeah, definitely different chemicals have different density compared to air. So things like phosgene is really dense compared to air, which is why they used it to perform, acts of war and trench warfare because it stayed really low. So that would be something that would stay really low. Other chemicals will be a little bit lighter and they'll be higher up in the in the atmosphere. So certain things will, dissipate more quickly. Other things would stay lower. Phosgene, although it's really deadly, does dissipate pretty quickly in the environment. Excuse me. So being in open air is better for that, but it's still, a disaster of a situation for this to be in people's homes.
Wow, that's terrifying.
And that was
Crazy.
what they warned people that it could be in your basement.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
at the
that's where they
same time, you
started
got to
with that.
understand where we're missing. And I know we're just getting started
Yeah.
on the story,
Yeah.
so I'll let you go through in
Yeah,
chronological order.
Yeah.
But where we're missing clarity and accuracy and consistency is the air is clean. There's nothing in it. The air quality was good all along from the Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
They were
to
telling you it was
Monday to
clear
the
the
release.
entire time.
But then, it could be in your basement. Well, how does that happen if it was all good?
Right.
Because what they differentiated between was air quality versus particulate count, which they've never released. So what's the particulate count? That's a whole different story.
Chemist, can we talk about that? And
some
that's
elaboration on that.
I need some
Because
elaboration.
there was particulate count.
And I've read that and heard that on Facebook over and over and over and over and over about the testing, about the the particulates, about the air quality. Can you go into that? Because again, everybody says that, everybody's spouting it off on Facebook, and you don't know who to believe, who to listen to. So Alexis, we're listening to you. What do you got?
So the particulate matter is a problem because our lungs don't like to breathe anything besides air. So I don't know exactly what methods the EPA is using to do this testing, but I don't believe that it's safe to breathe. I don't think that anybody should have been in town when all of this was happening. I think they should probably should have evacuated like a huge area just out of an abundance of caution. But immediate area, I mean, nobody should have been around. None of that is good to breathe in. So I'm not sure what they're using. I don't know what kind of testing they're using to capture that. But ordinarily, you don't want to be breathing particulate matter at all. It's not good for your lungs. It's not good for the animals. It's going to stick to stuff. It will keep being brought up in the air when it gets kicked up. When you clean, when you have your dogs in and out of the house, you're going to continue breathing that stuff, and that's not good for anybody.
Yeah,
so I don't know how to test for that.
Yeah, and people were talking about it, and this is a little bit late. Like the stuff could be on the grass and outside. Yeah. You walk outside, you bring it in your house, right?
Yes.
And then it's back inside. You clean your whole house, you go outside, you bring it in.
Mm-hmm. And if
right,
we're
and I
talking
think
about
that volume of chemical, the volume that was released and combusted, I mean, the whole area is going to be absolutely contaminated, in my opinion. I mean, I don't see how nobody's homes have those kind of seals to keep that kind of stuff out.
So Alexis, are we
they didn't even tell us how to properly shelter in place.
But are we talking about, are you talking about dioxins now, Alexis? Or are we just talking about, because
I mean, in general, nobody's homes have those kind of seals. So if you're going in and out of your house, even just, everyone's homes have gaps around windows and doors and everything. So you will be getting a certain matter into your home, and you'll absolutely be getting VOCs that were being burnt off and everything else. So
everybody keeps saying the word dioxin too.
Oh yeah.
What in the world is a dioxin? Because that's another thing. Everybody, you got to test for the dioxin. What is a dioxin?
Okay, so dioxin, it's not actually just one thing. It's a group of chemicals. And usually people talk about dioxins and furans in the same grouping. What you're talking about is polycyclic, which means there are multiple rings of carbons.
Sixth grade. Gotta go sixth grade with me.
Bring it down.
Bring it down. I was not paying attention.
So they're just really complicated molecules that have very, very strong bonds to chlorine molecules, and they're very persistent, or they stick around really, really well in the environment. So they call them forever chemicals, and they really love fat, and they love that kind of stuff. So if you are eating animals that have been, in contact with, and, just about everywhere in the world, you're going to find dioxins in polar bears' brains. You're going to find them everywhere, but it concentrates in meats, and it concentrates in fatty tissue in humans. So, we all have.
But you will find more of it in East Palestine now.
So is there any doubt in your mind, as a chemist, that there's dioxins all over East Palestine right now?
I don't have a doubt about that.
No doubt in your mind.
You got to remember too that that was the coldest night of the year. So every time your furnaces all kick on, your house becomes negative pressure.
Yeah.
So that you don't have door seals. If you had your house that was 100% airtight, you could heat it with a candle. That's why that furnace is coming on.
They didn't even have her turn our furnaces off when they did the so-called controlled burn.
Wait, hold on. Who the heck is this lady? The lady just popped up out of nowhere. Who the heck is this lady?
She's here.
She's chewing on food, talking on my microphone. She's eating Twizzlers, talking on the mic. Introduce yourself, ma'am. There you go.
Hello, I'm Candace DeSanzo. Nice to meet you. I'm
Nice
sorry I was late. My partner didn't get home
We're
from
just
work
about-
till late, and I got lost, and it was just
Hey, welcome. Have you
That's
grab
what her life
a
is, literal
Twizzler,
train
Candace.
wreck.
Have a Twizzler.
I just want to kind of make a note on you talking about
airtight houses and stuff. We live in like the oldest house in East Palestine. It was built in 1870.
Yeah, wow.
So we have absolutely like no airtight
Yeah.
anything in that home. So we sat there for days with all of that just smoldering and just encroaching into every crevice of our house.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, and you think about that, your wall cavities, your insulations, your
Yeah,
soffit
we got
vents,
like
your
the
roofing,
flat
that stuff is
stone,
all through it.
sandstone foundation.
Brian Collingwood from that's BC
Yeah.
BC Heating and Cooling.
I
Is
know,
it-
I know.
you know him?
Hey,
Yeah,
Brian.
and he's saying that he just said it right there. You can go through your AC furnace. There's a free plug for you, Brian.
So-
You're welcome.
I guess my question would be for those that don't know, what are the long-term effects, Miss Chemist, of those dioxins? What are the long-term effects? What can people see, or what will happen to the animals and happen to the people over time from that?
I think one of the main things is it can affect the liver. I know that there's someone at the University of Pittsburgh that really studies this very closely. I cannot remember her name right now. There are a lot of health effects. We don't have a very good understanding of what happens in humans because there have not been controlled studies to determine exactly what's happening. And we have animal models, but they don't directly correlate in certain instances. But there's it's pretty terrible. Higher rates of cancer are typically seen in areas with toxin exposure. And liver in particular is a problem.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Alexis, they've got their control group. It's East Palestine.
Yeah, we're the lab rats, so it's a wait and see game. What they're telling us is that when they did, which we haven't even touched on the controlled burn on Monday yet, but when they breached the 5 vinyl chloride cars and released how many million gallons, dear? You got the numbers?
It's insane. 7. You heard
Well,
Guardian 115,000. Now it's up to 1 million. Do the math from the EPA report, and you're talking almost 10 million.
Well, before we get there, let's talk about that. So Sunday comes,
They finally released the manifest on Sunday.
they waited a while to release
because
the manifest.
where did the conductor go? Nobody knows.
Well,
he didn't have the
they let him
manifest.
continue, and when he continued to Conway, he had the manifest.
Right.
There with him.
It goes, and again, so the manifest wasn't there with the chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
Then Monday comes,
Mm-hmm.
and they were trying to figure out what to do over Saturday and Sunday because they had 5 container trucks. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Five container cars.
The vinyl chloride?
With the vinyl
Well, the
chloride.
problem that came into play on Monday was there was a big temperature increase over the weekend because, as Krista said, it was really cold when it derailed. And then Monday, it's 50 degrees out. And then you've got the fire burning. So this tanker is just heating up.
And they were worried about it exploding.
Having a catastrophic,
which
is
when
that could send,
and that's when DeWine went on Sunday
shrapnel and
night.
vinyl chloride.
And then we're like, phosgene gas instead. Do it.
Now, and this was my question that I've had the entire time, and I know a lot of people have too. And maybe you can, maybe you can't answer this, Alexis. What happens? And I'm not even talking about the shrapnel. Okay, what happens if that vinyl chloride blows without, before the actual controlled burn where everything gets mixed up into a pot and you blow it up? Like, what happens with that? Where you just light it on, it just explodes. Any clue?
I think that, and I don't know, I'm not a hazmat person, and vinyl chloride isn't really something that I ever worked with. I worked with most solvents.
Yeah.
But I think you'd be experiencing some of the same chemistries after that, but you'd be adding the shrapnel. I think the whole thing is this shouldn't have happened to begin with. But
so the question, so again, I know people were riding them, and maybe nobody in this room or you can't answer this. Was that the answer to those tanker cars? Was the controlled burn? I don't know if anybody can answer that.
No,
right?
I think that they could have done something else.
They could have taken time maybe to try to
think
drain
that
them
was the
differently.
fastest solution because they wanted to get them damn checks running again.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought.
That's
and
exactly
it's very
it.
expensive to remove that because once that car's derailed, that's not getting to that owner of that vinyl chloride. So now that becomes hazardous
And
material.
we
So
were
it's very
foolish
expensive
that
to
day.
remove that.
Yeah.
We thought the controlled burn was going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Here we
I'm
are,
like,
how many
"It was
weeks
a
later?
success."
Yeah, but
We're
again,
watching our
it
town
yeah.
be engulfed in that
And now
cloud.
that we
like,
know what we know now,
Maybe playing devil's advocate. Playing devil's
Okay,
advocate.
let's hear it.
Maybe they were thinking, okay, you don't want to try and like remove all the whatever it is out and like ship it away because you can't get close to it because what if it goes off and all those people
Well,
are
not just
trying
that,
to
but it's
take it?
extremely costly to get that
Yeah.
out and then transport it. And
Yeah.
it's also extremely costly to shut down the tracks, which is why now they're digging them up one track at a
But my
time.
thing
We
is
can't
they
stop
dug a
these
trench.
trains.
They dug the trench.
and made a chemical lethal cocktail by detonating these tanks, draining how many different chemicals was it? Does anybody know?
Yeah,
At
do we-
least six
For
or
sure.
seven.
Oh, do you want to? You want to know?
And then set it on fire.
and
Yeah.
burn them and turn them into different chemicals.
I looked at a list, and it was a whole bunch of different.
So I've got a 77-page Circula document right here, which is available to anybody who cares. It's under the EPA site. There's multiple. There's page 5 and 6, which shows just a breakdown of some of the pounds we're dealing with here of the vinyl chloride, and some other
You
chemicals.
should
And
read
then
that.
you've got an appendix A, B, and C. So there's appendix A, which is kind of like it's kind of like an Excel document, right? It's like a chart. Then appendix A is the actual manifest. If anybody would like to see it, it's there. And then appendix C is a really cool aerial photo of the derailment, and they're labeled what is in each car. Now,
And how many pounds?
the Excel spreadsheet looking thing also shows each car, and not like here's this pretty slick thing, right?
Yeah.
So
all the different
so-
cars and
Whoa.
fun fact, they don't match. The 3 documents,
the
they don't
manifest,
match.
really.
There's no. It doesn't
Now,
match.
at the end of the day, what you need to do is total up each one of these 3 documents, 4 pound or gallon or whatever of chemical, and make sure they all equal in the end the same amount of chemicals, because it's like having a classroom
Yeah.
and you've got Russ, Linda, you got Mindy back
Yeah.
there hiding, and we've got whoever we've got here. But let's say we call them the wrong person, but it doesn't matter because they're all in the room. I've accounted for all my
Yeah.
students.
Mm.
Are all these chemicals accounted for? I don't know, because none of this makes sense. I went to the EPA, got this document off the EPA site.
Yeah.
They said I came in with just the aerial view, not our document, they said. Came in with just the Excel file, not our document, they said. I said, I got it all off your site. It's all in the Circula. They are your documents.
Last Friday they couldn't even
And what
find
did
that
they say? Are you an investigative reporter? Where do you live? I got asked 3 times. I live in East Palestine. We don't get asked these type of questions. These are very specific questions, and we usually don't get asked these questions. Do you
Yet they
work?
want
Do you
you
work
asked
in the
that first
field?
time.
No,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but you know what answers I got? I got
zero.
0 answers. So I'll throw it out here because I know we're limited on time, and then I'll shut my face. But so what we're hearing is, and what we're all because now we've got the vinyl chloride let off. What we're all wondering is, we've all got family members or ourselves who are sick.
Yeah.
Or we're sick, are sick. The key you got to realize is during all of this process, that burn off, which why did they do it? What were their thoughts? What was the reasoning? Now it's irrelevant to us because we're dealing with what we're dealing with. So we live nearly 3 miles away. I work 15 miles away in Patterson Township in Pennsylvania. I tested for vinyl chloride on March 13th. So this is over a month after the derailment of February 3rd. We were told vinyl chloride will only be detectable 24 to 48 hours after being in your system. After that, no point to even get tested. It's going to pass right through you and get out. It's not going to show. March 13th, I have vinyl chloride in my system.
And how far do you live away from the actual
2.8 miles. And here's the kicker. On the day before, that was a Monday, I spent all day at work, and then I went to my doctor's office in Lisbon, Ohio, not in East Palestine. The day before, We spent the day in Warren, Ohio. Where am I getting this stuff? Where is it coming
Where
from?
would it be coming from anyways? Because it was supposed to be gone.
Exactly.
after the
It
uncontrolled
there
burn.
the air is good. The air is good.
So is it coming from the water, the air, your house?
So you guys have well water?
We have well water, but we're
Yeah.
using bottled water.
So what happened to it? Linda?
What happened?
What happened to it? It's like pixie dust.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, let's talk a little bit, because to me that control burned. That the tanker was bad. The wreck was bad. That control burn was something out of a complete horror movie.
Uncontrolled burn.
Well, but you
Yeah.
think so, but now we got the butyl acrylate in the waterways with other stuff that they're not even testing for that came off of this.
Oh yeah,
Out
because
of
they
the
added
wreck.
more
Yeah, you
chemicals
didn't
to
get
the
to see
manifest that
that.
they
Yeah.
released us on.
Yeah,
that's
and
true,
when
too.
everybody got their air test done, once they lifted the evacuation,
Yeah.
and we all had our air test done from the EPA. Within they started,
And they said it
within
was
and worked
clear,
out,
though,
and they're
right?
like, it's fine, everybody's good. 2 days later, or maybe the next day. Like
Yeah.
2
Did you
days
know
later,
that they added
they're
a
like, oh hey, by
the
way,
way.
Yeah.
here's more chemicals,
Yeah.
even though you
Tell-
all had your houses
tell-
tested.
And we said it was safe.
Alexis,
to come home with your
Alexis, tell
children.
us about that one. Tell us about that chemical.
About which
What-
one? Butyl acrylate?
Yeah.
Okay,
about that one?
let me pull
Anything?
up my spreadsheet here. I can give you a real good.
All right, you are like getting a chemist pop quiz right now.
That's fine. That's what I made this big spreadsheet
You
for.
can handle it.
All right, where did
While
it
she's
go?
doing that on
Yeah.
Sunday night
Which-
or Monday
the
night, when did
vinyl
the control burn was Monday?
Monday,
Yeah.
February 6th at approximately 4:30 p.m.
Well,
In
well-
it
Poland.
was supposed to go off.
Well,
at
well,
3:30.
hold on, but we'll get into what Poland happened. That, anyways, this is what I was doing before. That freaking controlled burn. I have never in my life. It was out of a horror movie.
It was. It
I
really was.
pictured it 10 dudes on the ground, and when it happened, they were like, oh shit.
It looked
That
like
was
a
supposed
nuke.
to
I mean, it
happen.
looked
That's how I
like
think
they
it happened.
knew.
Yeah, it really was a mushroom cloud. It really was.
That, and again, so I live towards you guys on 170.
Okay.
Okay, and I went outside to get the mail.
Did you smell it?
Oh, we're gonna get into that. That's what he's gonna do. But
Mm-hmm.
I could see the damn thing
Mm-hmm.
from Poland.
Yeah.
I look and I'm looking and I'm like,
Really, truly, I'm not
why is
seeing
it so
this,
freaking
right?
dark over there?
That's 17, 18 miles out.
Mhm.
Oh my
No,
God.
well, no,
We're
it's
10.
not. We're 10.
10.
Where I'm like
Yeah.
almost New Middletown. I'm like, and I look, I'm like, that's the freaking burn off.
Mhm.
So then
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we're fine because the wind was blowing away. Right, I'm like, we're good. You know, I got 3 boys under 12. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, holy shit.
Yep.
So then that night, go ahead. So then that night,
So then, yeah, that night, my buddy who lives on the other side of Poland, almost closer to Luke, I live right over here, so I'm farthest away out of the three of them. My buddy calls me. He's like, "Hey, go." He's a teacher at East Palestine too, teaches high school math. So he calls me and he's like, "Hey, go outside." And I'm like, "Why?" It's 9 o'clock at night. Go. He's like, "Just go outside and like breathe in." And dude, it could
You could
smell
smell
it. Like
So-
you said, smells like burning plastic spoon.
Yep.
Yeah,
Because
on-
the
And I'm
wind
like,
shifted. It was going.
Yep.
Did we
Holy
share
shit.
the plume radar?
and what
Yeah.
night was
Alexis could probably plume
Alexis,
it up.
do you have
That was the
yellow
night of the
plume
burn off.
radar.
yeah,
That would've been
wow,
one.
yeah,
Sure,
Yeah.
I'll send it
The
to you.
night of
Wow.
the burn off. Yeah.
crazy.
I'll
I-
send it to you.
And then
So it shifted. So it was
Yeah.
going down. It was going
Yep.
south, and then it literally did
Yeah.
like a 360. It was like
People-
I'm
people
gonna send it to Alexis right now.
we
so she can send it.
run all the everything groups. So we have everything Austintown, everything
Okay.
Canfield. People in Austintown, so the other side of Youngstown, were smelling it, saying, "Hey, go outside. It smells like
They put a
plastic."
shelter in place order
Yeah.
because we were staying up in Struthers. We came
Yeah.
north. You
Yeah,
know?
it
smelled
to me it wasn't like it was almost like the best description I could, like, you know when you go swim like in a hot tub
Mhm.
and they have those little things that float, like the little
Yeah.
floaty hot tub things.
Yeah,
that
chlorine tablets.
that is exactly what it smelled like.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk
plastic.
Yeah.
and then all of
Mixed
a
with burning
sudden,
plastic.
you know, because before that point when we didn't smell it, you're like, oh shit, this is serious. It's in East Palestine. And then you walk outside and you're like, oh shit, it smells
It's
like
here.
chlorine. It's
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
It all of a sudden becomes real,
Well,
real.
because of that
Really
temp
real.
change, it
Real,
dropped
real.
and flattened, and
Yeah.
it just kind of.
And then
because there was that what's that thing called? Where the weather kept it down low.
Yeah.
inverted.
Ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah, it kept it low.
It
Yeah,
did.
but you start thinking to yourself, and that's when, and I think everybody realized it at that point where all of a sudden it's like we have to help the people in East Palestine, because it's like, and Isaac even called me, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do
You're
you do?
screwed.
We're still saying.
Hey, we're
Yeah,
still
what-
asking that question.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Like, that's what Isaac said. Like, what do you do? It's like you don't do anything.
Yeah.
Well,
You're screwed.
I created a file.
Well,
Yeah. Well, you can, but other
No,
than
but-
that,
but, like, I'm
with your
thinking-
kids,
Next
like,
thing you know, we all
Yeah.
get experts.
This
I mean,
is-
Alexis is like more of an actual expert, but I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
man, I've never info loaded
She
my
has
brain
the-
more than I
she
ever
has
have
the
in the
blue
last
radar.
6 weeks.
Because it
Right.
changed.
Yeah, 'cause
Because
you
you
share
didn't do
it.
it promise
Yep.
2 hours
Seriously.
late.
easy.
You can play it. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Can you
That's
play that?
went
Yeah.
everywhere.
I don't know. If
It's
you
a
could
real
send it to
quick,
me.
like, didn't
At a PA hearing. Okay, wait. Somebody's at a PA hearing. They said they were originally going to evacuate a 16-mile zone early in the day on Monday. Before that is what they should have freaking done.
They should have.
Oh, yeah.
They should have.
You know, they really should have
Yeah,
done.
and they lifted that
I
evac.
don't know why
The
they
main reason
wouldn't.
is to
Why
get
you
that
wouldn't want
train
to put-
running again.
Wow.
I mean, we shouldn't have been back
Palestine.
in time.
What's that, Alexis?
I just don't know why they wouldn't, in my opinion, other than money. Like, why would you not
Oh.
evacuate the citizens? to protect
Because
them?
because here's what happens. They evacuate 16 miles. Every one of those houses is going to have to get tested.
Yep.
Every one of those houses, the trains aren't going to run. It is going to cost Norfolk Southern $1 bazillion.
You know, let's talk
And it
about-
should cost them $1 bazillion because
Yep.
this
Yep.
is their fault.
But
They did not protect the cargo. They didn't protect the people.
Nope.
And
but
to me,
Norfolk
it's-
Southern is donates to the government. They're a
Lobbyists.
lobbyists. They're
Mhm.
they got their finger in everything.
BlackRock.
It is a key to the U.S. government. The railroads, they do not want to set a precedent like that. There's so much stuff to that, and it's so obvious for so many different reasons. It's gross.
And they're not tied to one party. They'll
No, they're
set
not.
contributions to both Republican and Democrat.
So what I'd like to ask folks, or have you ask them, Monday, I know how I found out, and I didn't believe it. Again, I went to work on Monday morning. I drive in.
Yeah.
I'm at work. My daughter texts me.
She's at YSU.
She's at YSU.
Yeah.
She says, they're going to burn some of these cars today and explode them. And I'm like,
And
that's
she
just
tells
kids
me, I'm
talking. Like,
Because
that's
the
not
safety
really going to
valve didn't work
happen.
the way that it was supposed to, because that's what they were trying to wait and see,
Yeah.
because that was the malfunction.
See,
Right?
and
That's why they ended up burning it.
I didn't believe her. So I didn't think that was like, I'm like, who is going in their right mind is
Right.
going to blow up vinyl chloride? This isn't real. Well,
we
then
said-
I
There's a
find
reason
out.
why they said this has never been done in their 39 years of career. Like,
Then I find out Blackhawk School District in PA, which is the school district that I work in that area. I don't work for the school district, just in that area. They were evacuating their students. And I'm like, whoa. So I call the school. Are you really evacuating? Yeah, order the governor. We're evacuating.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm leaving work. We're going home.
We got to
we're-
load horses.
I
and-
mean,
yep. Get the hell out
and
of
so how did people in town, how did you guys find out? Did they actually, was there warning?
Well, because Governor DeWine put it in effect Sunday
no.
night, saying that it was mandatory within that mile zone that it will be a toxic death, and that was the catastrophic zone. That it was mandatory that everybody had to get
The
out.
National Guard came
The
in.
National
on my
Guard
door,
came
told
in,
me
they
I
shut
gotta-
down
they
all
had
the
to-
They came to your
routes.
door.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
told me we had to leave immediately, and I had 3 small children, and I was like in panic mode because I had sheltered in place, and at that point, I was like, we shouldn't have stayed. We shouldn't have stayed
Because they
Like,
didn't,
I
they
was
didn't
sick
tell us
because they
anything.
didn't tell us
No.
anything.
Let's and again, we're like trying to cramp. We could do this for hours and
Oh, we
hours.
Oh,
really-
yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to talk.
We
a little-
have.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about the help you guys have gotten.
No,
Bottled water. And then, you know,
which we have appreciated.
we appreciate it very much. I'll tell you what, my husband was on the news. He put some stuff out there about
Uh-huh.
us having horses. Obviously you can't give them a bottle of water. Doesn't
Right.
work
Yeah. It
that
doesn't
way.
work. Yeah.
So we had an awesome company donate us from Erie. They donated us hundreds and hundreds of gallons of water
Wow.
and the containers.
Okay.
Just put a little plug in for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Mobilia
Go
Fruit
ahead.
Farms up in Erie. Thank you very much.
Amazing.
From Erie.
Erie.
Wow.
Yep. And also known as Arrowhead Wine Cellars.
There you
They
go.
do that too. But we've been getting donations from outside companies, from Second Harvest Food Bank.
communities have come together and
Yeah.
collected for us.
Exactly.
But where the help we need, is not there.
Where
Like the
what
help
are we
from the
getting from
governor.
Ohio? We're getting nothing. What are we getting from Norfolk? You got to fight and arm wrestle them to get repayment
what's
of
it
something, and you
take-
got to be in a zone. And
Yeah.
you know,
So what's it take to get anything out of Norfolk? Can't you guys go like
yes.
Yeah, grab the mic.
They're
Yes.
cherry picking. You have to go in there and be absolutely obnoxious and demand it, and then they'll give it to you and you only. It doesn't go. The offer doesn't go to everybody.
You have to go and be a dick pretty
Yeah.
much to get
Well,
money.
they're claims adjusters. They're insurance claims adjusters that you talk to when you go in. That's who you deal with.
So
or-
the
or they're-
squeaky wheel, you got to go in there and
Well, and
squeak.
you have to know what to say and what not to say and how much
And
to
who to
say
say
and
to.
how to
When we
play.
have been victimized by these people, I shouldn't have to go in there and then beg them for money.
Yeah, that's
It's
crazy.
not right. And
Yeah.
like I said, I have waited hours, endless hours there.
Yeah.
And it's just, we should be able to do that over the internet somehow. I'll scan this, take a picture of this receipt, and you transfer the money. You don't make me go there and sit there for 23.
Is there a line?
Well-
Is there a line still?
It
Yeah.
depends when you go.
But interestingly enough, he went for reimbursement, and they tried to get my social security number and our daughters off of us in order to get in the checks in his name. What
Why
do you
would they
need
try to
that
get your
for?
daughter's social?
Exactly.
Yeah, weird. Yep. That turned into about a 2-hour battle with them, and I did finally get it removed.
Wow.
Yeah.
But where everybody's going through some struggles, and one of the thing, these ladies have younger children who are having some terrible symptoms. We've all experienced symptoms.
What
But
are some of the
we're-
what is? I mean, just to go through, can we go through real fast? Have you guys all had symptoms?
Yes.
What have you got? Let's go through it.
I still have tingling of the gums and back behind my lips. The tip of my tongue is numb. It's like I have no taste buds on it. The headaches subsided, had horrible headaches. I still have diarrhea. Had abdominal pain.
Wow.
That's a few.
Yeah. Wow.
And my voice was going in and out. My throat was very raw. My eyes felt like tired. Like if you were to look at me, they would feel like they were swollen, not itchy, not irritated. I had shortness of breath, like I couldn't get a full breath. I had tingling and numbness in my legs, and then I had like bad brain fog, really bad brain fog.
I read about that from a bunch of different people. Say brain fog,
altering a voice too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what mine would do. Yeah.
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, the eye irritation, I was like feeling itchy, like I had a rash, but there was not a rash, but it was like, yeah. So there was that, the hoarseness, the abdominal pain where you like, I felt like somebody was like shanking me. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
yes,
So, like,
yes.
Really?
Like,
Passing a kidney stone.
yeah, you're like, you know,
Really?
which
Yeah, you had that
coincidentally
too.
my children as well. So they were out of school from the controlled burn happened on that Monday, and that following Monday they were expected to go back to school, and they were excused absences for 2 weeks, correct? After they had come back, because virtual wasn't put in place, because during COVID that was a special grant through Jefferson County that they had partnershiped up with, and they were all on the same page, so they couldn't just implement virtual right away like that.
Well,
So-
they could have because they learned from COVID, but they chose not to because we need a state of emergency called to do that.
Exactly. So the kids were expected to go back to school, and it was February 13th, I want to say. That was that Monday. I didn't send my kids because I just didn't feel comfortable. And like they literally, during COVID, we took an abundance of caution during COVID. They immediately shut everything down. The kids were out of school, 2 weeks flat in the curve. But 1 week later from setting that off in town, those kids had to go back into school. And the school was the safe zone. That's where everybody went the night of the evacuation.
That was
Friday
Red
night,
Cross.
Saturday
Which,
night,
by the
Cross
way,
shelter.
is really close to those
It's
railroad
not that
tracks.
far. Like it really is.
Listen, it's past that 1 mile.
Yeah, but
That invisible barrier.
Yeah. Whose kids had the bleeding nose? Was it somebody?
She had my son, when we evacuated, because we left Sunday morning, because before the uncontrolled burn, before we knew about all of this, we woke up Sunday morning and the smell was so bad in town.
Yeah.
It was so overbearing. We were like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So we left on our own accord. And my son had approximately 8 nosebleeds within 24 hours of evacuating. And it was like, it didn't register
that it was
that it was from that
and so,
because
yeah.
you know, and then later, now in hindsight, you know, it's 2020. And then so when my kids went back, and I did end up sending them in for, you know, a day before they set in virtual, because I'm like, all right, like surely, you know, things should be good. Should have been clean. The school should have been cleaned right. Should have been decontaminated, right? You would think
We're trusting that they're safe.
exactly.
But you can't clean these things up. We don't.
And they had Saneffect, the company Saneffect, come in and cleaned the whole school over the weekend, but they didn't clean every individual classroom. They cleaned like the main corridor. They cleaned.
They didn't clean the classrooms?
They're not even
They went
hazmat
and-
certified.
no,
They're not even
hazmat certified.
No, I
They went
actually
and
can tell
sprayed
you
and mist,
exactly
and that was
what
it.
But we can go
Saneffect
back and say nobody understood the
No.
magnitude of this, and
No.
they still now they're sweeping it up. It's the ultimate cover up. They tried to cover it up that way. Now
Literally.
they're covering up facts about, you know, when all these symptoms, they're saying it's the power of suggestion. I've got a whole flyer that says what the EPA was going to, smells can't hurt you. They're trying to get us to think, or you know what, it's just your anxiety or depression.
Well,
CDC symptoms.
Yes.
And they're all on the fact sheets for the chemicals.
Again, I just think like, again, the whole thing is, it all goes back to money.
Sure.
And they're kicking the can down the road on people, on kids, on for the health of you guys. And we're not going to, everything's fine right now, but 10, 15, 20 years down the road, if that, everybody's going to start getting sick, but by then it's too late.
Well, they're already showing these
executives
symptoms.
don't live in East
Well,
Palestine.
this is what I don't
Not
understand.
everybody.
If this
showing
isn't an
symptoms, though.
emergency,
Yeah.
then what the hell?
Well,
is?
I have a theory. Again, this is my personal opinion. Why they're not declaring, why they're not declaring a personal emergency, or why DeWine's not doing it.
Yes.
They're trying to push it on to Norfolk Southern because of this lawsuit, the
Yeah,
lawsuit that's
he
going on.
keeps
Because
saying Norfolk's going to take responsibility.
if they do a declared emergency,
Alan's
Norfolk is
making it
something.
right,
Yeah.
guys.
Well,
Alan's
also,
making
if
it
it's
right.
declared
He's
an
committed.
emergency-
Defines what is
Go
right
ahead.
here.
Go ahead.
If it's
He has
declared an
no
emergency,
idea.
there's this thing. It's called community right to know, and have to be 100% transparent. Every piece of paperwork.
Yeah,
has to
FEMA
be-
is involved,
Yeah.
and there has to be
And that's never gonna
transparency, and
happen.
that's never.
Caroline
never
says
happen.
another Cancer Valley
Yes,
like Beaver County.
Caroline. Ooh, that's my sister-in-law. Hi, Caroline.
Yeah.
That's Florida.
Yeah, the whole thing just stinks. I mean, I just feel so bad for you guys.
Yes.
Well,
I-
so I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, let's go back to the kids being in the school. My kids were in for 2 days, and I ended up pulling them out because they both were sick within Tuesday and Wednesday, and they both exhibited symptoms that killed over pain. They were nauseous, they were puking, they had the rash. I'm like,
And
okay.
I went home
In
and,
addition to the nosebleeds
and stayed for 4 weeks actually because Norfolk quit giving reimbursements.
Mhm.
And we're a family that lives paycheck to paycheck. My boyfriend actually, works at the local elementary school there.
Yeah.
And, I wanted it to be safe and okay. And now I feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
I look back and think, how could I have been such a fool to think that it was going to be okay?
Yeah.
And I
Idiot, you weren't told.
got terribly
Oh,
ill.
hey, Alexis.
What's that?
Hi,
Sorry, Alexis. We forgot you were there
We
for a
never
second.
circled back to the beetle accolade.
So tell us about the beetle accolade. How's that graph coming? Or how's that?
Well, I just wanted to tell Candace, I mean, she's not the idiot. The
No.
people
No.
in charge didn't disseminate the proper information to anybody. They
Right.
just
Right.
wanted to
And my children
gaslight
suffered
everybody
greatly
and
from
tell
it.
them it's fine.
But as a parent, you want it to be okay.
We did.
I did.
You deep
We
down
gave
inside,
them the benefit of
it's
the
your
doubt.
home.
You're
But-
telling us it's
but-
safe. We're
You
gonna
can't
do
feel
it.
safe
now-
there. Where do
But
you-
now our instincts and common sense are kicking in, and when you have a sick child, you got parental
For 4
instincts.
weeks
You
straight, that
you
doesn't
know.
get better and only gets worse. You know that it's not eczema. You know that it's not the croup. There's some other kind of process.
And she's
going
referencing
on
those
here.
because that's what they were diagnosing her
Yeah.
kids.
That's
with.
because they said
Yeah.
they couldn't diagnose them with chemical exposure because that's the funny thing I wanted to say.
So
This
it's
is-
croup. So it's
Well, and then
Sinus
adults are
infection.
sinus
Sinus-
infection.
Well,
Stomach
this is
flu.
what it says on Akron Children's website, and I about cracked up. Hello, at this time, a test to determine the presence of chemicals released due to the derailment does not exist through humans. Are you kidding me? She just got a test.
I got my
to see
test.
for the
She's
presence
a
of
Yeah, wait,
chemicals.
he's got one.
This is what it says.
Are you not
on their
human?
website.
She's not.
Oh, it's out now.
So, but this is what we're getting when we're trying to even get our.
And that's a
children
children's
healthcare.
hospital.
We-
now-
So I want to say this, and then I'm leaving it up to these ladies. What we're facing in town is it's a huge divide, right? Because there are people who are considering us to be like we're trying to stir a
They
pot,
even said
fear mongering.
Panic
You know,
Yes,
we're
panic-inducing.
panic inducing. Here's what I want to put out there for folks. I've had symptoms. I have symptoms. He has, and he had them previously. Our animals got sick. Our daughter got sick. I just tested for the stuff, and it makes no sense how that even occurred, but it did. And that's something I have to deal with. Do I have dioxins in me now? What does this mean for my future? I don't know, but that's my reality. But if someone else in town wants to believe it's safe, they want to believe that there's no risk from these millions and millions of gallons of chemicals, then you know what? That's good for you. And I'm not trying to sell you on thinking things are bad. You can feel that way, but I have to feel the way I feel based on my facts too. And I hope that they're right. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope they're right.
So I guess again, outsider here, like, are there people, like neighbors?
Let's talk about it.
Neighbors not having symptoms.
So my sister-in-law lives right next door to me. Okay?
No symptoms.
Well, it's gotten different now, but in the beginning, she could not smell not one chemical in our house.
It's
not one.
crazy.
Really?
She could not smell it. My husband and I are like, we could smell at least 4 different types of smells in our home, and she could not smell it. It just baffled me.
What do you think of that?
And from the very beginning of this, the town was divided because half the town could smell, half the town couldn't.
Smell it.
So from the rip, that's how it's been ever since.
Our mom is a nurse practitioner. She's like every possible degree you could possibly think of when it comes to
Lots of letters back
there.
there.
Lots of letters. And we were talking about it today because I said you guys were coming on, and she said something very interesting. And it was, we were talking about some people getting rashes, some people not getting rashes. And her take on it was some people are more susceptible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
More sensitive.
And she compared it to like allergies.
Yes, seasonal allergies. Sure.
Exactly. And that is exactly what
she
said.
But here's the thing that the EPA is pushing out there too. They tried to tell me, well, scents aren't bad. I got you, Hoss. But here's what's making the scent is a lethal carcinogen chemical.
We should have been
okay. Yeah. This isn't a hibiscus or a rhododendron.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That's not what we're dealing with.
I was going to say we're a bad fart, but yeah. I got it. Same thing. Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of people that are experiencing symptoms versus not experiencing symptoms, and the people that are not experiencing symptoms kind of feel like we're making it up or being over dramatic. But we are real people who are really experiencing these things. Our kids are really experiencing
and I want to say it's almost, I hate to say the C word, it's very much like COVID.
Ding, ding,
where
ding.
where some people,
how could you test positive but be
though,
asymptomatic? So does that dismiss it because you're exposed?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, what I thought was super duper interesting was your comment about it, and what she said that not a lot of people from the COVID experts that, like what you said about, hey, I got sick, my family got sick. You can do what you want, but I'm going to worry about me.
Absolutely.
I feel like it should have been handled a lot more like that, but instead it was like, no, you're going to do this. You're not doing that. You're not acting like the government and all the people who are crazy about COVID saying, no, you're going to do this.
Well,
she's like, you do what you want, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to worry about me, and I'm going to handle my
COVID
stuff.
comparison I was told on the news not to compare it to COVID, which I thought was really funny because, but yet, if you want to bring COVID into this factor, look what we did to the kids for COVID. There's kids who in kindergarten, first grade, they didn't even know what each other's face looked like.
Yeah.
And now they're like, hey, you know what?
And then you're gonna
come on
burn
in.
off school.
Yeah.
Come on in
off
with those nosebleeds.
You know? Burn off final chlorid. You guys are gonna go to school. No
And
a week later.
Come on in and watch that train roll
And
by.
that's the same damn governor saying the same thing.
Icing on the cake too. My buddy who works at East Palestine High School and his math teacher, he said
every day or like every Friday, Norfolk Southern delivers them donuts.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
what.
Like,
I
oh,
thought they're from
thank you.
Sprinkles.
Thank you.
thoughtful.
Yeah. Oh, sorry for burning
Yeah.
your town to the
Yeah,
ground. Here's
here's
some
some
donuts.
But do the kids get them? I wonder, or is it just for faculty?
I don't
Because they are buttering the right biscuits.
Yeah.
Where us residents, our biscuits are not buttered at all. We
I mean,
you know, there ain't. Yeah.
Regardless of what anybody says, this is like us, because I don't know who watches us, who doesn't watch us. March to your own beat.
Yes.
Go with what you got to
Yes.
go.
Mhm.
Stick by your guns. You're going to be doubted, but it doesn't matter what anybody else says. I mean, that's it. You guys
Well,
you're defending
unfortunately-
yourselves, your family. You know what I mean? You have to fight. I mean,
Yes.
that's it.
Yep.
And-
You're your best advocate.
And if you feel you don't have to, then that's
Don't.
okay.
Well, and that's what there's so many people that are on the fence about it, and you're going to sit there and we're going to have conversations, and they're going to sit there and be like, town's fine. And we're
And
like,
then I'm
hey,
all like, look at these papers.
and you're not going to sway me. You're not going to make me think otherwise. And I want to be wrong. I want to.
That's
it to
our
be
entire
fair.
Do those
lives
We
then.
want to-
Why are those people telling you not
because they're
to
not
speak up?
exhibiting symptoms.
But why?
Well,
but what's, do they,
Can
do
I
they
can
think
I can I
do they
speak
think you're
on that?
hurting East Palestine by
Here's
saying that?
here's
putting a stigma on the town.
here's the thing. It's not just that. It's not that too. But
What's that? What'd you say?
they're losing sports money. At
Yes.
the end of the day, when you go home, right? If there's women who go to Hobby Lobby, maybe your wives,
My
or
wife does.
okay.
I hate
And do
that.
you have the leverage?
That is
happy- I'd
that
be
is a
happy if it
complete
burned to the ground.
dude nightmare. I'm not gonna lie. he knows it too. It is-
They
He's
should
got
have
drugged there
beer.
a couple
Yeah,
times.
it is
So
the
We
worst
should
place
have
on
like a
earth.
little area, like where we can just hang. The husbands
Yeah.
just hang out
The
with
winter
beer.
used to.
Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby in the back.
That is the worst store for husbands.
I think every Hobby Lobby should have a bar next to
Yeah.
it. OMG,
It
I'm
just
inventing that.
smells. It just smells
Anyway.
like awful in there.
So when you go into Hobby Lobby, there's the signs that say home, and it means this or it means
Yeah.
that. The word home triggers a feeling for you.
Yep.
It can bring for some people it brings good things, for some people it brings bad. But for most of them, that's why you buy the little HOME letter and put it on your mantle, and you buy the little signs and all that.
Sense of comfort.
And you have the sense of comfort. You have you have memories there. Maybe it was grandma's that you remember. Maybe you remember playing in Leslie Run. Maybe you remember having a meal that you could cook spaghetti out of the water in your tap.
Yeah.
And for people who want to ignore all of this, all of these pages, endless, they just want it to be like February 2nd.
Yeah.
They want that back, and if they don't smell the smells and they don't have any of the symptoms, for them, they can have that.
Yeah.
We can. And I don't want to take that from
Ignorance is
anybody.
bliss.
I don't want
Yeah.
to take that from anybody.
Ignorant is
really
bliss.
is.
Isaac
It
just
really
said
is.
ignorant is bliss. Exactly right. That is, I mean, for you guys and what you guys have been through and the town itself, it is just an absolute tragedy. And we've been following and the main thing of us like doing this is you guys have to keep it up. People have to keep paying attention to it, because I know deep down inside Norfolk Southern is just counting the time.
Waiting until
Yeah.
we're all burn out or we're done talking.
Wait
and
for
we're
it to
like,
fade.
Yep, that's what they're waiting
We're
for.
in our
The
rear view.
Thursday night meetings
Yeah.
that they have, which are a joke.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they don't
Yeah.
call it a fair anymore because I
Put up all their papers on their desk.
I
Yeah.
went a little AWOL on that. But anyway, they have tables set up. So if you've ever been to a home and garden show and you
Yeah.
get to walk around and you get a pamphlet and maybe you
Yes.
get like a really cool recyclable shopping bag,
Yeah.
you can put your pamphlet in.
Yeah.
And then you might get a super cool pen from the EPA
Yeah,
if you
right.
go.
Oh, nice.
The pens probably have like some they're probably lead poisoning.
It
with them,
probably
but-
has deoxins in it.
But that they're all
It's
these.
one of the ones where you click it and then it says like dioxin.
Dioxin.
Yeah, dioxins are not bad.
Dioxins.
Air is clean. Anyway, so then you go there and there's these tables lined up, and there's fewer and fewer tables every week, and they make it uncomfortable. It's all posturing because they sit back. You can talk to them. You stand, ask a question, move along. You don't get to sit and have a conversation. It is not a forum for a conversation. And sometimes when you approach a table like Norfolk or possibly the federal EPA or even Ohio EPA. They're back there hee-hawing, and then you wait. You should totally go. Take one of these bad
'cause
boys.
There's no media there at all.
Isaac, we should go and wear a camera.
Do it.
Yeah. Do you know what kind of dicks we could be?
Alex always done with the last one.
Do you know what we could do to them? Do you
They'd say, "Oh, you're related to the
I'm
Murphys."
a pretty big one.
Yeah.
That's what they. I mean, I see the media guys like, oh, look, it's the Murphys.
Yeah.
So it's posturing, right? So you're made to feel uncomfortable. You ask that
Well,
we
it's
don't
dinner
ask.
time.
You
The
can't
kids
ask
need
a
fed.
specific question because they don't have the answer, and they're not going to get back to you.
Yeah.
Now the assistance center is moving from a large church in New Waterford where there's ample parking, it's handicap accessible, and you do have to wait. And there is sometimes a lot of people there.
Yeah.
But it's a comfortable area to wait in because it's large.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said,
Let me guess,
easily
they're moving it
accessible.
smaller?
They're
Oh,
moving it
it's
to this
something.
place on the corner. It was previously the Jehovah Witness Hall in East Palestine.
Yeah, I know that one, yeah.
You park, it's curbside parking. If the employees park there, there's
There-
no
there
room
is no
for
parking,
anybody to go. It's not ideal for the elderly. And again, it's posturing. You want to come to me? We're going to make it as uncomfortable as possible.
Yep.
Should bring like chairs, make it comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously. That's crazy.
Well, you guys, now have you? And then one more thing before we go, because we're at like an hour and 7. Have you guys all signed up for lawsuits?
I haven't yet.
I haven't yet either.
No.
We know we're not going to
We
see
have
it for
some
a
time.
while.
You don't have to answer that question if you don't want to.
You don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You don't know what to do.
We don't know
They're
what we're going to
vultures.
learn.
I'd like to borrow your bat off.
Can I?
Yeah,
Can
right.
I
It's my
say
Negan bat.
Yeah. Protest next week. Before we're
What's that?
done, I just wanted to mention our protest. So
Yeah,
last
go
week
ahead.
we did a peaceful protest. We want to do it again. We had about 30 or 50 people show up. We'd like it to be even bigger and better this week. Bring spirits and your signs. We're going to assemble at the Rite Aid in town. It's on the corner of North
When is it?
Main Street. It's going to be
This Saturday?
I have it here written down. Saturday, April 1st
I'm
at
gone.
noon.
I am gone, or I would be there.
If any of your listeners have I need like a
You do it every
550 or
Saturday?
1,000-gallon water tank, and they look like a train car. I need it. If somebody's got one, they want to get rid
he's
of
got
it.
a great
I
idea.
got a good idea.
We're
I
gonna
need
blow
to
that son of a bitch up on the
No,
railroad
I'm gonna
track.
get all the chemicals on it and pull it behind the
What
tractor.
happened with him with the air purifiers?
Oh, tell them what happened when you
Please.
went to the
Because
municipal
listen,
building.
yeah.
Tell them.
I visited the municipal building today.
Which smells
Now listen.
ridiculous, by the way, of
But-
chemicals.
but-
After
but-
that.
I got sick
Them
of them.
women are
Dude,
gonna
man, they
die.
are. I walked in there and I was like, oh my God. I was like, your building smells so bad. And
You're
she was
gonna
like,
I don't smell it.
Runs right under
Yeah.
that.
And the
Don't
other
smell
lady's
it.
like, oh, I smell it.
So-
Every day they're in that building. That's where the creek runs under.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
they're running right under
And-
and it smells so
Yes.
bad. Okay,
And
so go ahead.
today I was
So
in there.
he
and
went
it's-
in doing something we usually do not do. He went in instead of to bring up a problem. He went in to solve a problem.
Yeah, I went in to possibly propose a solution with germicidal lamps. They remove VOCs. And then you couple that up with a polarized ion-on air filter.
Damn.
And then it will also turn it into basically you got HEPA filtration for next to nothing as far as the cost goes. And not only that, it doesn't add any high static pressure to the duct system. So it's not like you're shoving a filter in there. It's so thick that now the blower motor is going to burn up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome technology, and it's been around. This isn't new. It's been around. So I went into today to see if I could get on the minutes for the next council meeting. And
Because he wanted to propose this for the schools.
Yeah,
Because the
and
schools are
and I
running
got
without
met
air
with some
purifiers.
Why?
and I had to
Individual
match her
group.
attitude, and I asked her, I said, "What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why are you acting like this?" I mean, she was rude.
Wouldn't even let you get on the minutes.
No, had
Or
to
were they-
had to ask twice for the form that
Yeah.
I could fill it out because they have to then approve it, which I pissed her off. So I'm sure they're not getting me in that meeting,
They
but we'll
I
see.
think they
But it's for
have
the
to.
better of the school.
Oh,
but
but-
listen to what her response was
She
to
told
him.
me that she thinks that they would have no reason to listen to the information. Number one.
Is this a school, remember?
No, this is
the
our this is
municipal-
our
This is the
our
council,
council.
the
this
city
is the
council.
administrative assistant to the mayor.
She has no right telling you that.
Yeah,
But
right?
but
right?
she did.
27 years lived in that.
I
She
would
didn't
tell-
even, she
For
didn't
our
even hear out his
listeners, please.
concern, and his
Wow.
concern is for the families, children's, and the families of this town
and businesses.
and businesses.
I mean, it'll
And
do-
he is
it can do
offering
anything.
his knowledge
Okay,
and
okay.
services.
One of the things Isaac will tell you, my pet peeve is local government. Okay. She is not an elected official.
That's right.
She is paid
by me,
by you, by these
you.
people.
Yep.
She has absolutely no right.
I wish I'd have recorded it.
To tell you anything,
Yep.
but here's
Here
your
you go.
freaking form.
Yep. We'll get that submitted, Mr. Murphy.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
all that should have been said.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Even if she wants to take it,
Even if
or
she
whatever.
wants
And
to
she
take
shreds
it,
it.
I would have told that freaking bitch.
Oh yeah.
Give me the effing form, or it's over. Like, and that's it.
Yeah.
And if somebody from council, because I'm sure somebody's watching right now, Trent, are you watching?
You
'Cause
got
if
my
you're
email,
watching,
Trent.
I'll tell you right now, that kind of shit, and I get along with Trent. I'm sure you guys.
Yeah.
have
Oh,
different
no,
opinions.
no.
Yep.
I got
We're
along
good.
with Trent.
Trent, if you're listening to me, you better fix her, because that is a good way to get on my bad side when an employee of a city does something like that to a resident. We have fought people in Poland, Canfield, board all over for less than that. And so I'm telling you guys right now, fix that. Okay? That's your warning right now. That's the MLO bros being nice.
And
Because that's ridiculous.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that would be.
And you're
great
trying.
to
It's not like you're
implement.
trying to do it. You're trying
No,
to
you're
help.
trying to help.
Yes.
Yes,
I
exactly.
didn't go there bitching.
Let me guess.
Yeah.
Let me guess. Old grumpy lady.
Nah, she wasn't older.
It wasn't
Her
older.
name's Misty.
Okay, Misty.
Hey,
Yeah.
Misty.
I don't
Hey,
really
girl.
care. And again, if you like Misty or Missy's kids, you can tell her I just said that.
Government
Well,
employees.
because we want the kids to have their
That
the
is
best fighting
ridiculous.
chance.
Well,
They have
let's
us
Give her my
bringing our
phone number,
kids in.
330-651-7081. You guys can call me. I'll tell her this to her face. There is no way that should happen from a government
No.
employee ever.
Well,
Here's your form, sir. Thank you.
And when I matched her attitude, and I asked her what was wrong with you and why are you acting this way, she looked at me and she turned in her chair and raised her eyebrows and she said, "Excuse me."
Oh,
was like,
there
oh.
is no freaking way. Isaac, Isaac, tell him how your big brother. Tell him how your big brother would have handled that one.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, there is no
Well,
way.
and it's crazy because like that would be an excellent thing to implement into the schools.
Sure.
Like
Yes.
I want to touch base. I want to kind of circle back on that because
even if they say screw you, dude, we're not doing it. But
they
You
didn't
don't
even say
do
that
that
in
after I
moment.
leave.
No.
But they
Don't
should.
do
They
it.
should hear what he has to say
sounds
because
sounds good. We'll consider it.
because it's what they
Walk
need.
out the door.
It's
Yeah.
100%.
That is what they
It's
need.
what they need.
Yeah.
Now,
implement it into our building.
Yep.
to, to clarify, they do have air purifiers in the school.
Yep.
They have them
I was
in
at
the
school
classroom.
before I went to
And
the
he
municipal.
raised the fact that that is not treating hallways. That is not treating
How
other
many do
areas.
they have?
That is
Air
not.
purifiers
They
don't
have
take
one in each
toxic
room.
chemicals out
Wow.
there.
middle
That
school?
kind of
In the middle school.
I don't
Like
think
she
they do
told me.
that.
that
Well,
kind
you
of stuff.
didn't see that.
I seen one.
So again,
But
tell
he's
them what it
talking
is.
about
It's a
middle
light.
school.
It's a
No,
light
they
you were
actually
discussing.
Yeah,
got
it's a
them, I
UV
think,
germicidal
today, I
lamp.
believe.
That kind of stuff makes my blood pressure boil. Okay, we gotta wrap this up because we're gonna be here all night. All right. So
Hey,
Isaac,
Alexis.
what do you want?
I guess we start by kicking off Alexis.
Alexis, we totally ignored you. We're sorry.
I'm not ignoring
We're not ignoring you. We were. I'm not gonna lie. With these people in here, it's hard to get any words in edgewise.
Oh, I know. We have meetings.
There's a lot of people.
And we're always like yelling over
We know.
Alexis, thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any last words?
I'm happy to share. I saw a couple comments, people asking about the chemistry, like the chemicals in question. I'm happy to share. If anyone wants to get in contact with me, you can find me on Facebook. I'm in every East Palestine group, like screaming into the void. I'm happy to share all the material safety data sheets and information from, in particular, the New Jersey Department of Health has really awesome information, and I can post them here wherever you guys want.
Awesome. Alexis, thanks so much for coming on.
You're awesome, Alexis.
Thanks, Alexis.
Thanks, Alexis. Appreciate you.
Bye. All right. And then we're going to kick her.
Aw, we kicked Alexis.
We kicked Alexis.
Aw.
Doctor was sick.
Okay.
Imagine that.
Exposure, and that's what I wanted to talk about.
Oh, go ahead.
But
Yeah.
Well, just because
Pull the mic up because we can't. hear
there's like delayed reactions. It's this hit and run exposure versus like acute exposure or chronic exposure. We don't know the threshold of when that transitions from each to other because they're obviously dealing with acute exposure every time you're coming into town. But over time, that's leading into chronic exposure. Now,
Makes
for
sense.
us who's staying out of town but going into town, like for state
makes
testing,
sense.
because my kids have to go into
Makes
school
sense.
for state testing. When we're coming back out of town, we're dealing with a whole different type of detoxing, essentially.
Yeah.
So my daughter had state testing last week. She was in the school Monday, Tuesday. She went to a dance Thursday night that I allowed her to go
Yeah.
to. We were there for an hour and some change, and I had to leave because my throat was on fire, my face, my eyes. We left. So you guys all know I felt like crap throughout the next couple of days. We came to town Saturday for the protest. It just like added worse. Our one buddy,
And we
Gio,
exposed
from-
ourselves only for the cause.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
made us all way worse. Like Gio's in the hospital right now, but
Is he really?
so
He's been, yeah.
we came to town Sunday because sick joke that everywhere was out of power except for East Palestine.
Yeah.
So we ran back to town,
Yeah.
grabbed some stuff. I'm like, are you serious? Like, okay, so we did that. And Monday morning, my daughter's blowing her nose, and it's just blood snot. It's not snot. It's not bloody. It literally was like she was blowing out like clots and snot. Never has happened in her entire life. Never.
Same with my son. Never had
So I
bloody
feel
nose
like
in his
because
entire
now
life.
at this point she's been out of the school Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days coming up into that, and now she's dealing with that. I take her to Akron Children's.
Yeah.
Okay. They said, what was my thing? Okay, so I highlighted it. So they diagnosed her with acute bacterial sinusitis.
Is it noted that there was chemical exposure? Does it-
I have told her this, and she's like, "Well,
they won't put
They
it in
do
there.
not want to put it on.
No.
They do
They
not
won't.
want to put
And
it
She
on.
had to
I
fight.
just fought over that
my
today.
night chart so
in
that I have
7
it
weeks
for
from your
legal documentation.
Yes.
And they won't.
Why won't they put it
they
on? there?
can't test for it. They
They won't
can't
even
But
test
it
for
doesn't
it.
matter
Children
because when
for-
you go
when we're bringing
in,
him in there sick.
the
That's
reason
terrifying.
for the
It's
visit
like
is
they live in
chemical.
19-
Yeah.
I know.
Crazy.
So,
They don't
but
put
they
it.
Pictures of my
treated
kids
her.
with the
Yeah.
blisters.
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
chloracne.
Yeah.
We stayed there for 4 weeks. That's from long
So
exposure.
this is from
to
acute crossing over
dioxins.
into
Yeah.
chronic exposure. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So they diagnosed her with acute sinus infection, and the symptoms here: facial pain, swelling of the skin over the sinus, fever that lasts more than 3 days, yellow or green nasal discharge. She had none of those. None of those symptoms. But that's what they diagnosed her with.
Watch your head.
Look,
Your-
98.
your-
Her temp was normal.
Yeah.
They put her on antibiotics. Now I know I'm seeing a lot of my friends, their kids are sick. They're getting put on antibiotics because they're treating something that's not there. My daughter doesn't have a sinus infection.
Yeah.
No, she don't have.
Is she taking the antibiotic?
We just went today.
Let us know what happens with the antibiotic.
That's what I got diagnosed
Yeah.
with too.
Well,
And
I
then
wanna
my-
see
and
what
then
happens
my
with the
test
I
comes
mean-
Well,
back.
I
I
know.
have a
I'm
story
just
for
saying.
that.
So
Yeah.
let's just
My-
feed them antibiotics when we don't know if that's
My
really.
children, I have
Yes.
a 1, a 2-year-old, and a 10-year-old. I'm actually a mom of 5 boys. The other 2 are grown. We stayed in our house for 4 weeks because we
Wait,
didn't
do you have
the money to
7
leave.
boys?
I have 5 boys.
I got confused.
I
on
have
that
3
last
boys.
there for a minute.
God bless you, lady. 'Cause that is freaking.
Actually, got 2 more.
Oh, what's 2 more?
Yeah.
2 more. You know what 2 more is? Me jumping off my roof. Is what 2 more is.
Probably, yeah.
2 more is me jumping off of my roof. So, all right. Oh, yeah.
So anyway, and imagine I'm displaced
Yeah.
with all of my kids.
Wow.
And I didn't want to leave, but they got terribly sick. Like I said, we went home. They lost their voice, bleeding out of the mouth. Babies don't have blood in their mouth.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't.
No,
Yeah.
they shouldn't.
Their voices were hoarse when they go to eat. They would start crying. They'd be like, "Oh my gosh, is it too warm?" Because I'm thinking it was too warm. No, it's because
It's the
their
throat.
throats were so
Yep.
raw. Because
On
when I'd like try to
fire.
Yep.
swallow a Tylenol, but this is my thing. I used to clean houses.
Yeah.
I can remember going to the hospital and saying, "Oh my gosh, I made a chemical cocktail with the works and bleach."
Yeah.
And I broke my
Yeah,
throat.
yeah.
Oh, you're diagnosed with chemical exposure or chemical pneumonia. of
Had
the
no
lungs.
problem putting it
Wow.
down.
Now there's a
Bronchitis,
There's
yeah.
some kind of agenda where they're waiting still from directions from the Health Department
In the
Oh,
CDC.
hell.
Oh,
Sure.
Wow.
Do you
to
know
be able
what
to
they
give our
told me?
kids treatment.
At Akron today,
It's criminal.
do you know what they told me to do? Go to the health clinic in Palestine.
It's
I'm like,
criminal.
I said they would just send me to my PCP, which is
Yeah.
you. That's why I'm
Yeah.
here.
How would you feel if you took your kids to the doctor and could not get them treated?
Yeah.
I feel that that's criminal.
Now the health
These are
clinic,
people's
the health
lives,
clinic,
our children's lives.
Yeah.
the health clinic in town is nothing more than a data collection center.
Yes, exactly.
That is all it is for them to keep track of the chemical cocktail petri dish they've made and us lab rats,
Because
what
are.
we turn into and what develops.
They're
you know,
collecting info for lawsuits as well.
Because then in
Yeah.
10,
We went, there was
15
no
years,
doctor.
whenever it
Yes.
circles back and they
Yeah.
have that list from that clinic.
Yeah.
Why put in a permanent clinic for symptoms that are unrelated?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Go ahead, Isaac.
Can somebody living in East Palestine take the chemicals on them and bring them somewhere else?
Yes.
Yeah, the
They're
traveling
called dioxin.
That's what
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Is that where
I'm
you went?
not-
Did you go outside? Did you go?
Can you go to PA or something like that? Is that what you're saying?
No, why I'm asking, I have very sensitive lungs.
Like, are you
I'm
thinking
not
we can
to scare anybody?
No, you will
But
pick
my
it up.
eyes are burnt.
Yes.
My eyes are hurting.
Yes,
right now?
Yes.
Yeah, dioxins can be.
Yes.
Are you
Okay,
serious?
I haven't
I'm
been in
dead ass,
Palestine.
dude. I'm not. I don't know if I'm paranoid.
Can I tell
but
you a
like-
story?
You guys are the only ones.
My
who
nose-
know.
Hold on. Hold on. Wait.
So it would be them.
It stays in your
Well,
clothes.
Well,
Hold on.
But I've
You're
got
all
vinyl
over the place.
chloride. If I have it in
Isaac,
my system,
what-
it actually comes out of my breath.
Isaac,
And
what are you
so-
experiencing right now?
Yeah,
Because
like my
this is the little
eyes-
brother. He's had health problems his entire life.
Okay.
I have bad lungs.
So what are you
My
experiencing?
nose, my nose is kind of burning.
It's got to
and my
be the
eyes
vinyl
are-
chloride in you.
Really?
It's radiating out of you.
Yeah, dude.
I
Like,
know.
I'm not trying to be
You're
like. Maybe
welcome.
I'm paranoid.
No,
Maybe
you're
it's
not.
just-
I
psychosomatic.
100% believe it.
Yeah, it's psychosomatic.
I just really want to go home.
You fear monger. You.
We're fear mongering him.
Isaac, Isaac, wait, hold on. This is what I'm supposed to say. I feel fine. You're freaking need to suck it up. What's wrong with you? You are bringing down the value of my office.
Quit being negative.
Yeah.
You're so dramatic.
We're gonna need all of you to leave so we can clean.
Well, and you know what? Honestly, it could be on our shoes. If anybody walks around town,
Hey, as soon as they walk out, there's gonna be like a cleaning crew coming in. Like,
A couple guys wearing hazmat
Hazmat.
What do you guys? This is terrible to joke
But
about.
okay, in all seriousness, though, so you are feeling that, and there is a very
Yeah,
good
my
possibility
eyes are,
that it has
burning.
cross-contaminated, and you see how easily
Yeah.
that has
That is
infiltrated.
so weird.
I can see your eyes are getting
so
watery.
sensitive.
My girlfriend
But
came
no,
to
and
visit
He is.
me
Oh,
from
he is. He's had
Darlington.
health problems.
I'm in
Like,
Niles.
I've had bad lungs and breathing
Well, and that
issues
goes
my
to show you
entire
that
life.
people are different.
Yeah,
They react
yeah. And-
differently.
Yeah.
Blood types, genetics, whatever. it is.
Every
Sure.
year I'll get bronchitis. Every year, well, it was a lot worse when I was a kid. But every year I get bronchitis,
that's
and then it would
crazy.
turn into pneumonia if I didn't get an inhaler
Right
right away.
away.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
watch
we
out
talk-
for chemical bronchitis.
about
because
the
that's
horses.
what's
We
happening.
we had two. One wouldn't get on the trailer. One did.
Yeah.
The one we took away and evacuated. He stayed away for 3 days. Brought him back. That's the horse that got sick because he's grazing off the ground.
That's what my
Wow.
son.
But
The
he
other-
Yes,
but it's
my
a different
girlfriend
breed.
came to visit me in Niles from Darlington after
that's-
she was there for 2 hours. I said, "You're holding Jamie. Look how red his cheek is." I said, "You brought that shit on your clothes." Because he was not like that, and that lasted for 2 days.
That's the
Oh,
way
wow. Yeah.
Trent looked. Did you see Trent the way
Yeah,
he
his-
looked?
his-
He was
his-
all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
He
Well,
evacuated Chippewa because of the
Uh,
blue cloud came
all right. So we're at an hour and a half. You guys normally
Marathon.
marathon
We can
podcast.
do this.
We appreciate everybody. We appreciate you guys coming on.
We appreciate
Um,
it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
I,
us.
I might. I'll tell you what. I might want to do a follow up again in a month or two. Are you
Yeah.
guys okay with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
'Cause we've got a lot of
I
things
mean, if we're
happening
still
right now.
around. you know.
Yeah. I'm thinking in like 2 months we have you guys all come back and we'll just follow up because it's
Yeah.
good and we'll just
Awesome.
talk.
Yeah.
We'll just talk just like we did.
Yeah.
See how it's going.
Right now, we're kind of doing a waiting game on a lot of things.
I
so,
was
yeah.
going to say we got on East Palestine, but I don't
should
want
have
my brother to
test
die.
results
So
by then too.
yeah.
Right.
I don't want to bring him down there because he might. I don't know what.
No,
Not
and,
go
but,
there.
no,
It is
seriously,
not
Yeah.
You got
especially
scuba
not for
gear?
somebody that has.
You know
to
what?
get sick.
Yes, we'll
should
get you.
bring him.
We'll get you a
You
snorkel
should.
and a mask.
Need something like a.
You need a
I'll
you
wear
need
a
one of
hazmat
those
vest.
vests that you
Oh, what's it called? A bellows.
It'll be
Really
like
a bellows.
test group A and B. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you all for watching. We are loan officers. If you ever need a home loan, we didn't even get. I wanted to get into the mortgage stuff with it. We could talk about that down there.
He will finance any home
Yeah.
that is being sold in East Palestine right now.
Well, I was talking to him. I've been watching
Yes.
that, and the houses are starting to go for sale now. At first, I thought originally they were all going to go up, but now they're starting to go
How
up.
many homes right
Our
now,
appraiser lives in EP.
24, 25 is what I saw the other day. And I think as it keeps going, I think the more houses go up, and the problem is the more houses that go up,
Price goes down.
exactly. So we're gonna watch that. So maybe 2 months from now we'll have you guys back on. But we're our loan officers. Don't forget we have our advertisers down there: Century 21, Valley Insurance, and also the fantastic Tales of Merriweather and Perryweather. If you are also, we had a podcast. I want to say it was 3 or 4 days after the train derailment. If you're looking to watch one, it's in our videos on our Facebook page. That was a real good one.
You had, I wasn't on that one, but you had on.
Trent was on here.
Oh.
Yeah, we were like it was a good one. Yeah. So you can check that out. And please do us a favor, like and follow the MLO Bros. We'll see you guys all later next week. I don't even know what we have. So again, East Palestine, good luck. Good luck, everybody. Isaac, go wash your eyes out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird.
We need a face wash station.
Detox shower.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Because half the town is affected.
Now my eyes are itching. Bye.
That's in your power of
I don't know
suggestion.
if it's the chemicals or the loud noises, but my head hurts too.
These people are very loud.
very loud.
All right, bye.
I should have cooked his phone call.
Are we still live?
Who was it?
Mark Durner from the EPA. He answered. Yeah.
Mark from the EPA called.
He says he has the info on the big blue tanks.